In 2016, Canon released their 5D Mark IV, which copped a lot of criticism from people as it did not live up to really high expectations. Despite all of that, 2 years later, the Canon 5D Mark IV is still one of the most popular DSLRs on the market and arguably one of Canon's best cameras. Today, we're going to put it through its paces to see what it's all about and whether it lives up to the standards in 2018. So the 5D Mark IV, it's a hybrid camera targeted at enthusiasts and professionals who want to get into photography and videography. So as a first impressions, when you hold the camera, it definitely feels lighter than the 5D Mark III. And with its current grip and ergonomics, it's definitely viable for long-term shooting. On the left side of the camera, you've got a couple ports. You've got a mic port, a headphone port, you've got a USB 3 port for fast tethering and transfer, and an HDMI port as well. On the right hand side, in terms of the memory card slots, it takes a compact flash as well as one SD card. In terms of the back, you've got a really large 3-inch LCD screen for nice playback as well as great viewing, especially during the daytime, and a really big viewfinder as well. In terms of the buttons at the back, they're super responsive and you've got a really large wheel to change your aperture or your shutter or whatever you need it to do. So right now I'm just smashing some street photography and I'm just using the 5D IV with the basic 50mm 1.8 STM prime. With the autofocus, it's actually doing quite well despite the lens. And really the detail on the images I'm getting and the colors, from what I can see at the back of the screen, looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to go over the key features you need to know about the Canon 5D Mark IV. So first off, it uses a 30.4 megapixel sensor combined with a Digic 6 image processor. This allows you to shoot continuously up to 7 frames a second, gives you a native ISO range of 100 to 32,000, 4K video at 30 frames a second that is cropped at 1.7 times, and full HD video up to 60 frames per second. The body is weather sealed, which is fantastic. And it's got a couple cool features. So it's got a dual pixel RAW feature, which will allow you to take a more high detailed RAW file so you can work with more in post. And lastly, in terms of autofocus, the 5D Mark IV employs a combination of a dual pixel autofocus system and a high reticular autofocus system to give you a 61-point phase detection system where 41 of those points are cross-tight to give you better accuracy and faster performance. So one thing I really like about the 5D Mark IV is that it has an autofocus joystick. Myself, I personally only shoot in single point autofocus mode. So when I need to reframe my shot or kind of like change my point onto my subject, I can swiftly do it with the joystick. And the best thing is it's multi-directional, so you can go up, down, left, right, diagonal, wherever you please. So one thing I really wish the 5D Mark IV had, whether it be for photos and video, is some kind of in-body image stabilization. My hands aren't exactly the steadiest of hands, so everything I've taken is pretty shaky. And really in today's day and age, everyone's getting on that image stabilization train. So get on it, dudes. In terms of the performance of the Canon 5D Mark IV, it is brilliant. To touch on the autofocus, whether you're going to be using it for photography or video work, it is really quick and reliable. With the touchscreen as well, it's really easy to just pinpoint your focus and just touch away. And honestly, it doesn't get easier than that. Secondly, images look highly detailed, colors look great. And a cool feature that I found after using the camera for a bit, it's actually got an inbuilt intervalometer. So for people who shoot landscapes or astrophotography, you don't need an external remote to get your multiple exposures going over a long period of time. In terms of the video side of things, I want to touch on this on the 5D Mark IV a bit. So firstly, the actual video quality itself is brilliant. So the colors look good, video is highly detailed. Dual pixel autofocus, as I mentioned before, works quite well as well. Where I have my shortfalls and shortcomings with the video side of things is that in terms of the cost that you're paying for a 5D Mark IV, compared to other competitors on the market, you don't get much flexibility in terms of the video settings as per se. So firstly, your 4K is limited to 30 frames a second, and it's already cropped at 1.7 times, so you're not utilizing the full sensor. And secondly, your full HD specs is only at 60 frames, whereas competitors out there can already do high slow motion frame rates, such as 120 frames a second or 180 for the price of this, or a bit under as well. So if you are a person who is looking to get a kind of like full-time video camera, then the 5D Mark IV may not be that camera for you. If you're after like a hybrid camera, this is where I can see the 5D Mark IV being good, because then you can get the best of both worlds. You get really good photography performance, and if you really need to do a bit of video on the side that is great quality and works well, then that's where the 5D Mark IV comes in. So today's sample images were shot with the 5D Mark IV combined with the 50mm 1.8 STM. As I previously mentioned, the images and the video look fantastic on the camera. Colors are vibrant on the JPEGs, although they do look a bit over-sharpened at times. The RAWs preserve a huge amount of detail and are great to play around with in post. Just note that there is a low-pass filter on the 5D Mark IV, which does a good job against aliasing and still holds up to the quality of images produced by its competitors. Video quality is fantastic too. We really love the detail and the overall smoothness of the video. As we mentioned before, we wish it did have a bit more room to work with in terms of frame rates and just overall power of the video quality. So my final thoughts on the Canon 5D Mark IV. Although it's not the camera that everyone in 2016 pre-release hyped it up to be, it is still a brilliant and top-notch camera and one of Canon's best cameras they've released to date. If you are a person who wants to get into the more video side of things or do professional videography, the Canon 5D Mark IV may not have the flexibility that you require. However, if you are a photographer or a person who wants to dabble in video as well as photo, then the 5D Mark IV is extremely adequate for that. With the features inbuilt on it and the color and the overall look of the image quality, the 5D Mark IV can produce professional looking video as well as photography as well. If you have any questions on the 5D Mark IV, pop them in the comments below. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our blog to get our full written reviews as well as what's going on in store. And if you liked our video, make sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our next video. And if you're going to be using the touchscreen, give me a sec, let me do a couple of spins. Alright. Ready?
Definitely ready.
Definitely ready.